finish it on a special day. And usually the result, the end product or the service you want to create with this project is unequal. It's not usually. And what does it mean to manage a project? It means just how you work on a project. And a project manager usually works on it to inform that he is applying skills and knowledge and establish special management techniques to produce the best result. Our project, as I told you, was a benefit picnic with Intrax. We had the idea to organize a picnic in June next year to gain some money and books as donations for schools or people who need a little bit more help with their education. For this, like a project, every project, the manager should have some skills. The most important is the communication skill, because a manager is usually 90% of his time just communicate in verbal and written. Also, of course, organizing techniques. It's important just to have a time management, and if you don't have the time to do everything on the same time, you have to prioritize. So that's the most important of organizing techniques. Also, general management skills, including budgeting, leading, managing, and coaching. It depends of the size and kind of project, what you need. Negotiation skills. You need it if you have discussions or meetings with a stakeholder or a person who is involved in this project, or maybe a vendor or a customer. And of course, if you're working with a team, you should have some people management skills. So if you want to start a project, first of all, why would you start a project? Usually, whether you have just an idea or a need, or maybe a legal requirement that you have to change something in your company, or maybe it's just in a private situation, and so you start with your project. Usually, this is the way you work on a project. So first, you start with initiation, then go on to planning, executing, monitoring, and controlling, and closing. The initiation part is just to acknowledge that we should work on a project, that it should begin, where you put in the first informations in the first document, so that the responsible persons can decide if we do this or not. If they say yes, we do it, you can start planning. The planning part is really the biggest part of all, because you have to plan everything from start, put all the details of your project in it, how could you do it, and all this is in planning. After you finish the planning, you can start to work on it in executing process. There is where you start, whether to work alone, if it's only a small project, or with your team to do it. Monitoring and controlling means if you finished a part or the whole project, you have to control your outcomes. Is it correct? Is it still what the customer, for example, wants, or is there anything you have to change? So if you find something you change, it's in this part, and you sometimes have to go back to planning and executing if you have changed and start again. At last is the closing, where you finish the project and document the last steps and the results.
The first part of our project is initiating. Is the first step, and when we have the knowledge that we need to begin our project, we need to know our needs and demands. So we have a kind of document we call project concept document. This document will show us our objectives and the high-level goals for us. This is a kind of model. So in our event, that it's the picnic, the business justification, it's promote Intrax, improve image by showing social commitment, exchange cultures and experience. Our project description, it's a benefit event, a cherry picnic for adults and kids with programming and activities to generate funds donations. We will need help for our students and volunteers to generate this donation and advertise the value of education in general and in connection with intercultural exchange and experience. We have the project costs, that it's estimated costs that we need to know inside our budget, and time frame that it's the date of our event. So in this case is June 4th, 2016. A little bit of our stakeholders in this part, in the initiating part. It's people that or organizations, they will request the project for us. The main stakeholders for us is the project manager and project sponsor. Project manager is who will create, making the plans, have the project team, and the project manager will work together with project sponsor. Project sponsor is an executive. He will or she will decide and ask for the project, make the initiating the project, and he has all the authority to during the project. Now the planning part, it's the second step when our stakeholders, all the stakeholders agree that okay, our concept is okay, we need to begin and make the plans. It's more detailed, step by step. So we need to know who will be this project manager that will lead our project, and he will have all the powers and assigns and authority during all the project management. Our project goal in our event is organize a benefit picnic on Saturday, June 4th, 2016, and gain donations, money and book for help people that need. In planning, we have another document. It's a project charter. It's a little more detailed. Here, our project overview is charity picnic to promote Intrax and improve Intrax image, show the importance of education and generate donations to help people who don't have good possibilities for education. Project objective, to organize a benefit picnic on Saturday, June 4th, 2016 to gain donations, money and books for people who need help with their education. And we have a little bit different, it's requirements. Customers and visitors that in our event we want they have fun with family and friends, help others or get some help. Our sponsor Intrax, gain money for charity and improve image and awareness. And the students that improve language, get some intercultural experience and can help too. Our business justification for this event is promote Intrax, promote image by showing social commitment. And we have some rules and responsibilities that involves center director, administration office, academic office, student ambassador, support communication with students, teachers, for help in activity, sales, and programs. We have another kind of document. This one is a little bit different than project charter. We call project scope. The project scope, we have some topics, it's almost the same that project charter, but the main difference, we have to explain and list all the requirements and deliverables. The difference of requirements and the deliverables, it's like, in our project, we need to know what we need. We need for event picnic, a location, administration part, IT support. So this is all our deliverables. Our requirements, it's the steps inside the deliverables. So what we need inside the location, for example, we need to list all the possibilities and all the parts we need, get all the documents and contracts. So we have all the requirements inside each deliverable. We need to explain more detail. For this, we use WBS. It's a kind of tool graphic we have here. It's more clear for us to see. So we put here our deliverable first and break it down in our requirements. Like here, donation, location. our requirements part, we need to list all possibilities, decide which location. We need to know if we have a plan B or not, the document, security, and other things. So if it's not here, it's not in the project. This is a kind of network diagram. It explains for us when we start our event, each step, the dependency with all the steps we need to follow, and when we finish. So it's for us to have more a vision more clearly that when we start and when we finish in all the steps between this. Planning and acquirement materials, we need to list all the things that we need. Materials, suppliers, and equipment. For example, decoration. We need to know we will need blankets, baskets. We need to put this in a list. And if we need to purchase in outside vendors, we're gonna make a approximate plan that will describe everything. Assessing risk, we need to know what risk we have in our picnic. For example, here, one of part, it's bad weather in the day. So we need to know how much is the probability that we have. In this case, it's 50%. How is this impact in our event? It's 80% because if it starts to rain and it's a public park, our event is over. And what we need to do, we need to create a plan B. Change the place, change the date, retail stands or tents. And who is the responsible person that we need to know this? It's the project team with project manager. And inside the planning, we have a project schedule. It's not a project plan. It's a part of project plan. It shows us when we start and finish dates, each step. So we have a kind of flow time, and we need to know if we start a step and we have some delay, it compromises our event, our planning or not.
So when you have a bigger project and a really big part of planning, you're really happy when you can start doing it all, and so you go on to the executing process. One of the most important things there is, of course, to create a team. You already start planning your team in the planning process when you realize, okay, what people do I need, what skills, and how many of them. But you create this team in executing. It's the first day, the time they come together, and usually you take a team kick-off meeting. There you will get them all the information they need, and so they understand the goal of the project. Usually you hope that you have a really effective teamwork, so that you have good results. And sometimes it doesn't go like this, so you have a dysfunctional team. Sometimes people can't work together really well, or it's something else. And so the team manager is responsible for solving this problem. Usually, most time it's just communication need, so you can talk with the people. Sometimes you need to include a third part, like a mediator, or in worst case, you have to change the team. And also the project manager is responsible for motivate this team and keep them focused on the work on the project, that they are really doing all the best for it. Also in executing, sometimes you have corrective actions. You need them to ensure that your result is in the end what you first wanted with your project. And sometimes, as I said, you realize later in the monitoring and controlling process that you have to change something and go back and do it here. So acted, the changes are in executing. The document from executing is a status report. You first say in the planning part how often you want to have a status report. For example, weekly, 2 weekly, or monthly, depending on the project. And in the status report, you just write down how far are you with your project, which milestones have you arrived or finished, and what are the next steps, or sometimes what issues were there. So if you've done the work, you look on the outcomes. You're controlling all what you did in this process. And as I said, sometimes you realize, oh, we have to change something. Whether it was not the quality we wanted, or the customer changed his mind, or there was a budget cut, it's also possible. And so you have to create a process how you can do this change. You have to make a management plan, and the document is the change request document. So there you have to write everything down. Then you can go to your team and say, okay, we have to change this, you should do this now. And sometimes they could say, oh, why and so, and I'm not really happy to do some change. So talk honestly with your team and give them the details they need and the information that they understand to change. And also, if that's done, your project is finished. You're coming to the closing part. There you obtain project approval. So yes, we did it, it was successful. The team members are released. They can go back to their daily work or start a new project. And you turn over the end product or the service or whatever you did with your project. The documents here, you don't do every time these documents because sometimes you don't have the time. You should start a next project, so you skip this part. But it's good if you use lessons learned. It means that you write down in the document everything you did in this project, your experience, your successful parts, and sometimes your fails. And the final status report is just write again what you wanted, what you did, what you completed, at which time, your milestones, and the success. Of course, you did not all these documents to throw it away. You have to achieve it, that you can use it for the next project. Maybe it's a similar one. And if you have all done, you can celebrate your success. Don't forget this part, it's really important to motivate you for the next project. Just say, yes, we were good, we were successful, and don't forget it. So, our project, just for information, with the benefit picnic, it was just an idea and we were just working theoretic on it. We won't have this picnic. So, yeah, that's it.